Now, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure I haven't been successful with this. What else? There is nothing about that book that actually interests me. Get into the juicy goss for you, and I wanted to know what all the hype was about. That's a no. Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. I'm trying to have a bit of a new thing where I do some reaction videos because I thought, why the hell not? I want to do a reaction to my 25 before 25 TBR, which is a list of 25 books I wanted to read before I turned 25. Now, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure I haven't been successful with this because the ones I'm thinking of, I definitely haven't read yet. But I could surprise myself, so let's just jump straight in and react to the 25 books that I wanted to read before I turned 25. This was back when I used to give the whole rationale for my videos before actually getting into it, whereas now I'm like, no, you guys don't care about my thought process, I'm just gonna get straight into the stuff, get into the juicy goss for you, rather than giving you the whole preamble, so I hope you like this better, but do let me know, come and chat to me in the comments if you liked all this preamble. My first is the classic, which is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have not read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I haven't even tried to read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It is still the book that I really want to read, but I just haven't gotten around to it, so that's a no. Also going to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Also haven't read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and again, I haven't tried to read it. Maybe that'll be a Christmas book that I read. Still on the TBR. This one is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have tried to read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and I think I read the first part of Little Women and not the second part where they get older, so that's kind of a success. Next we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have not read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and I have to admit the entire reason why I wanted to read this book is because it kept being brought up over and over again in After by Anna Todd, and I wanted to know what all the hype was about. And lastly, we have Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Also have not read Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I don't know why I thought I would read that. There is nothing about that book that actually interests me. I think I just got to the end of this classics list and was like, what else? And for some reason, that sparked my interest. The first book that I want to read is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I have read Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I think I gave it about 3 stars when I read it. Didn't love it. There were a few issues that I had with the ending. There were a few issues that I had with some of the characters. I wasn't wholly for the romance. I didn't completely buy the way that the boys would like bully each other and the way they would talk to each other, or at least the way I think Alex, his name is, would bully the English guy whose name is like Henry or Harry or something. So I didn't love the romance between them, and I thought the mother in the US was just, she would use and abuse her children for her own political gain, and I didn't like that. But I think I ended up giving it about 3 stars. So I have read that. That's 1. Next up we have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. If you've watched my 5-star predictions, you know that this also appears in that. I did not give it 5 stars. I did read it, but I didn't really like it. I think it got about 3 or 4 stars. So I have read it. Didn't love it. Not doing well. Next up, we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I did read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and it became, I think, my favorite book of the first half of 2022. I'm an Addie LaRue girly, and I am not ashamed to say it. I loved this book so much, and I'm so glad that I read it, and I'm so glad that I bought it as well and I could experience it firsthand. I love everything about that book, and the lessons it taught me about, like, don't be afraid about not leaving your mark on the world, because you will, in some way or another, unintentionally or otherwise, you will leave a mark on the world, and I loved it. Next up, we have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I have not read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It is still on my TBR, but I'm just genuinely terrified to pick up anything by Colleen Hoover because I've heard they destroy you, and I've heard that particular book is based on Colleen Hoover's mother's own experience, which the minute something's linked to a true story, I'm terrified. Lastly, in the romance category, we have The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. I also have not read The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. That is because, again, I am terrified to read it. It's just, I loved the first 2 books in that series so much, and I heard this one's more contemporary, less romance, and I'm not ready for that because I loved the romance in the first 2. And I've heard this one's more depressing and hard-hitting, and I'm really scared, so I haven't read that either. Then we go into They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I have not read They Never Learn by Lainey Fargo. It is so high on my TBR, but I for some reason cannot get a hold of a copy of it. So when I do, I will read it, but I haven't yet. Then the second one is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I haven't read The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, but I recently purchased it. I've finally got my hands on it, so it is on my TBR still. It's still there, I promise. I haven't gotten around to it. Next we have The Maid by Nita Prose. I also haven't read The Maid by Nita Prose, and this one I'm a bit scared to read because I didn't like One by One by Ruth Ware, and Nita Prose is Ruth Ware's editor, so I'm worried that I also won't like The Maid, but it was so hyped up, how could I not like it? So it's on my TBR, but I haven't read it. And lastly, in the crime/mystery category is The Final Girl Support Group. Again, another book that I bought at the same time as The Lost Apothecary. I was finally able to get my hands on it, but I still haven't read it. Sorry, I was wrong. That was not the last one. Next we have the actual last one, which is Queen of the Tiles by Hannah Alka. I haven't read Queen of the Tiles yet, and I do still really want to because I love the idea of a murder mystery kind of revolving around Scrabble. I think that's really cool. So it's still on my list, but I won't lie to you. I'd forgotten about it. Next up is my autobiography, biography, non-fiction section, and the first one that I want to read is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I have read Know My Name by Chanel Miller, and that book made me cry, like, it destroyed me. It was everything to me. I thought it was an incredible book, and I'm so glad that I read it. Next up we have The Audacity by Katherine Ryan. The Audacity by Katherine Ryan. I have read this. I actually read this really recently, so you know what? I'm proud of myself, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. I really love the comedian, so the book was just fun as well. Next up we have Fake Law by The Secret Barrister. Fake Law by The Secret Barrister. Haven't read this, still on my TBR. I still own it. I just have never gotten around to it, and it's one of those books where I feel like you have to read it in bits and pieces. Next up we have Killing for Company by Brian Masters. I have read Killing for Company by Brian Masters, but I did not enjoy it. One, because the content of it was just so brutal, and I really struggled with that, how like almost blasé the author was about what was going on. He just told it very factually, which I can appreciate. It's a very good idea to just tell the facts and not insert emotion into it, but it was jarring. And then the other reason why I didn't love it is because it was just so like dense, like really clinically like written. The wording was really dense. Like there was just everything about it. There was just a lot packed in there, and I struggled to just understand what was going on. I struggled with the content. It took me a long time to read it. I basically kind of DNF'd it because I didn't read the last like section of the last chapter of the book, which was like a review of everything and where are we now. But I still counted it as a read because I got the whole way through up until that point. I just couldn't stomach reading anymore. I just needed to put it down for my own sanity. And lastly, we have Lady Jane Grey, A Tudor Mystery by Eric Ives. I haven't read Lady Jane Grey by Eric Ives, and I won't lie to you, I don't really have any plans to. It's just one of those books that I put on there because I needed another autobiography, and it looked interesting. I'm interested in Lady Jane Grey's story. I think she was like the queen for 9 days or something, or she was executed at the Tower of London, but she's a story that no one ever hears about. But yeah, I don't really have any intention to read it. And lastly, we have the fantasy category, and you can probably guess the first book in this category if you know me and if you've been watching my videos for a little while, and that is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. I did read House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas, and as you've probably heard me mention 1,000,001 times, I loved it so much. It was the one book on my 5-star predictions list that actually got 5 stars. So go me for getting it right, go me for reading it. Love it. Obsessed with Sarah J Maas. Next up we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This book has been on my TBR for forever, and I still haven't read it, and I'm so determined to, but I keep forgetting, and I keep just like putting it off because I just don't have that drive to pick it up. But I want to because I've heard so many people talk about how amazing it is, and I feel like this is going to be like an Addie LaRue situation where I delay it and delay it and delay it, and then I kick myself for not picking it up because I actually end up loving it. Then we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I did actually just read this, and I really enjoyed it as well. This one was really good, and I did not expect to. It was one of those books that I bought way back when I first got a Bookstagram channel, and I had no idea of anything about it, but I picked it up and I ended up really loving it unexpectedly. So I did read that and I did love it. Then we have The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. I did read The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna and I really didn't like it. I thought that it was just very, very cliche, very, very stereotypical. There was just a lot that I didn't like about it. So yeah, I did read it, but wasn't a good one. And I'm definitely not gonna pick up the sequel. And then lastly, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I did read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I am sort of mediocre about it. I'm hoping for a bit more romance in the rest of the series. I know it's a bully romance, and I'm beginning to discover that I like hate to love, but bully romance just takes it that step too far that I don't enjoy. So I will just have to read the rest of the series and let you know, but that is the last book that was on my 25 before 25 list. And let's just say I don't think I was very successful. So let's hope that next time I do this video, I'm a little bit more smart about it in my 26 before 26, which is going to come out next week. So do keep an eye out for that. But that is where I will hopefully pick books that I know I'm going to pick up, rather than trying for like 5 classics that I know at the end of the day I'm never going to read and they're never going to be a massive priority for me, and if I do pick them up I'll probably end up DNFing them. But anyway, that's beside the point. Do let me know if you have your own list of books that you want to read before your next birthday, if it's a 25 before 25 like me, or it's just a simple 5-10 list of books that you want to get finished. Tell me what those books are and let me know if you've read any of the books that I have read or haven't read from this list. I'd love to know your thoughts on them. I love talking to you guys and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing and hitting that notification bell all down below. It is a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!